All right, so I am here with Steve DeSena. He and I have worked together in different capacity, different brokerage and roles for about 10 years. He's about as consistent as they come. I mean, every year he crushes it. He's won Agent of the Year, and just an all-around great guy with a great story. So welcome, Steve. Glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
All right, so I'm a pretty big fan of just getting right into it. Why don't you tell everyone, how did you get started into real estate?
I got started in real estate back in 2006 when we bought our home out here. I just got interested in it and found myself want to be on the other side of the transaction. So I just sort of jumped into it and never really looked back after that.
So you said you were on the other side of a transaction. Was there something in the transaction that went a certain way that kind of made you think about jumping in?
Yeah, the negotiating. I've always been like a big negotiator, and negotiating my own deal got me interested in negotiating for others. So that sort of set my path towards real estate.
So when you were getting started, what were some of the immediate challenges that you faced?
For me, I guess the most immediate challenges was just learning all the different disclosures and contracts, and I'm the type of person that wants to like know everything and know it fast. And so I was studying, you know, the disclosures and all that stuff. And let's be honest, most buyers don't even read that stuff. But I just wanted to have the knowledge in case, questions were answered and be able to answer, whatever questions they may have. So, and just want to know your craft. So that was sort of how I did it from the beginning.
I totally get it, man. For most people, this is the most expensive purchase they're ever going to make in their life. So it's really important that an agent know exactly what they're having people sign. And like you said, most people don't read it. So getting back to that, what were the biggest challenges that you faced getting started, or any kind of like worries that you had?
All right, for me, I guess the biggest challenges, or I guess concerns maybe I had, were just generating business from the start. Obviously learning the business and that sort of thing, but just being able to, obviously it's a risk to jump out and start something completely new and be totally dependent on yourself to generate your income, right? So that was, I guess, the biggest thing for me. But I was, I guess, lucky, if you will. I just sort of hit it pretty hard the first year. Got, took care of all my friends and family, which I guess a lot of agents probably do. And some of their referrals, and sort of hit it running pretty hard from the beginning, and had actually a really good first year.
Yeah. And what did you do before real estate, and how was the transition?
So before real estate, I was basically doing warehouse management.
Mm-hmm.
I was commuting because we had just bought out here, and I was commuting to Poway 140 miles a day.
Yeah.
And so I did that for about 6 months, and that was about it for me. So, and I was already thinking about transitioning and doing something different. And of course, going through that purchase of our home, I just dived in and got after it. So
Yeah. And so how was that transition, and were there any kind of like personal struggles during that time?
really, just obviously because you're your own boss basically,
Mm-hmm.
and so being able to follow a schedule and stuff like that, you sort of have to get in the rhythm of doing things. It's not like you're clocking anywhere and you're required to do different things. You basically have to monitor yourself, and that, I guess, that for me was being able to get a system in place that I'm going to be able to do every day to provide results.
Yeah.
So
What kind of systems do you use, and how do you stay motivated?
I try okay, most days to stick to
Yeah.
a daily routine, and then whether that be calling, returning calls from the day before. I try to return calls within 24 hours. Text messages are pretty instant. And then just prioritize what I need to do, and just sort of follow that. And then sometimes it changes throughout the day,
Yeah.
but and I try to stay pretty consistent with that. So
Yeah. So About 6 years ago, I kind of came to you with an idea of like, hey, let's do some internet online lead generation. Let's do things different, and kind of do more of a team environment. And you were one of the first ones, if not the first one, to kind of believe in the idea and jump full force into it. What kind of led you to that?
Well, if you remember, I first told you no.
I do. Trust me.
I was
I remember.
Yeah, you remember. I was open to the idea, but it was a change, and I was doing pretty well,
Hmm.
with what I was doing, and so it was just something different, and I just had to kind of entertain it more,
Sure.
and I just basically I just stepped out on faith and just went for it.
And were there any other options that you kind of considered at that time?
Really, I mean, not other options, but just I guess staying where I was at, and just I guess I don't want to say complacent, but that's sort of the way it was.
Hmm.
I was good doing X number of deals, and
Hmm.
I was sort of just good with that. And then obviously talking to you, and then sort of it got my brain rolling on it, and sort of I know at first I was hesitant, but then I finally came around to it, and I'm obviously glad I did. So
Yeah. So, how was that transition, and what did you kind of notice in the first, say, half year of doing like a team kind of environment?
it was great support. Being able to obviously network in a sort of a closer role with agents on your team than somebody say just in your office. We're all basically doing sort of the same thing, obviously, and also bouncing ideas off each other, what's working, what's not working. And as we grew, getting more agents, really good agents coming on, and again, same thing, sharing value with each other. I
Hmm.
think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
So,
Thinking back over the last 5 to 6 years, what are some of the highs that come to mind?
highs on the team or just personal?
Any, man.
Oh man. Well, it got us into playing guitar together and playing in a band situation. That was fun. That was fun.
Can't discount that.
That was a super high.
Yeah.
Getting on stage a couple times and doing that.
Yeah.
Finally doing it.
That's true. We played on stage together. Joshapalooza.
Did that.
Good
And
times.
I think one other time.
Yeah.
So it was good. That was definitely a high. Had I not done the team, that probably wouldn't have happened. So
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, and just all the jam sessions we had together and stuff, that was fun.
Yeah.
And then just I guess if you call it a high, this is also giving me, real estate's a vehicle to kind of do other things, right?
Yeah.
And sort of spend more time with your family, right? So
Mhm.
I've been able to coach, my son's baseball.
Mhm.
Another field of work or something like that, it's not as easy, especially if you're on a set schedule and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So that's been a high for me, being able to be more present
Mhm.
with my family, my kids. So, and so I think that probably would be the biggest thing.
Yeah. No, that's a great high.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Flip side, some of your lows or your biggest challenges.
All right. So some of the lows, maybe just learning, the CRMs and stuff like that, and just
Yeah.
sort of coming up with good, replies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I've always been a quick learner, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah.
So I won't say I've have any lows, but
Mhm.
I guess just that, and then maybe jumping on a different system,
Yeah.
and just kind of picking that up. But
So, knowing what you know now, if you could go back and jump on the team, what would you have done differently, if anything?
from the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have tried to recruit people sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How come?
it's because it's been good. I mean, it's obviously it's financially rewarding,
Mm-hmm.
but again, it's sort of we have this close, tight knit group,
Mm-hmm.
and it's basically like a family.
Yeah.
And honestly, other brokers I've been with, you never had that.
Yeah.
I mean, you make friends in the business and stuff like that, but
Sure.
it's never been that sort of tight knit group. And we got our our group thread that we're on, and I mean,
Yeah.
we're all over the place, man.
It's very little about real estate.
Pretty much.
Yeah, good stuff.
So,
So thinking back to your whole time in real estate, were there ever any times that you thought about quitting?
yeah, I think a lot of us have probably, invented new cuss words. I
Yeah.
mean, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's a lot of it's based on client loyalty,
Sure.
and so sometimes there's situations out there that arise that you might have invested your time with a certain client, and then they end up getting represented by a family member,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it sort of tests you. And so you have to sort of, at this point, just, for me, it's just part of the business,
Yeah.
and but being new into it, it's more, I mean, it's not less frustrating now, but it's just, you understand it better now.
Yeah. What about your lot line story, man? Was that like one of your hardest deals ever?
I would say, yeah, that was a crazy ass deal.
What's the quick story on that?
All right, the quick,
if
the
there
quick
even
version.
if there even is one.
So I had sold this property to one of my investors, repped them on the buy, went to list it, and the buyer's appraiser called out, there was an auxiliary unit on the property and said it was encroaching.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I've never had something like that called out.
Mm-hmm.
So, long story short, I had to get a surveyor involved, and come to find out it was encroaching. But it all had to do with the county and their records and how things were done back then. It was an old building, old lot. So we had to actually settle with the owner of the other lot,
Yeah.
basically to do what's called a perpetual easement.
Yeah.
Never had heard of a perpetual easement till then. So we ended up resolving it, and not only to resolve it, I ended up negotiating for my clients. He got a full refund. I did the title insurance claim with him,
Mm-hmm.
helped him throughout the whole process, and he basically was reimbursed for all of his costs.
Wow.
Yeah. So you just never know where a deal's going to take you.
For sure. How long did that one take?
I think that deal took like 4 months
Yeah.
to close.
That was a long one.
It was.
Yeah.
I hated the word encroachment, man.
Yeah. And yet you're now the lot line expert.
After going through that, man, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's crazy.
it's crazy.
So nowadays, getting into like real specifics, like where does your business come from, and what are you doing to kind of maintain and even exceed your goals and maintain levels of production and kind of push forward?
I would say, I mean, obviously some of the business comes from the team generated leads,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of my business comes from investor business now.
Mm-hmm.
I was, I guess we call it, lucky enough to hook up with an investor that actually seeked me out, just by reading reviews and stuff like that. And so I ended up basically acquiring all his Riverside County properties. So that's been good.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little different working with those guys,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, it's volume and it's good.
Yeah.
And then also some comes from referrals, which is always awesome to get referrals.
Yeah.
So,
Those are the best.
yeah.
So I know that since joining the team, your production has definitely increased. I want to say you came close to doubling your income last year. How has that changed your life?
As I said before, it's a vehicle to, real estate's a vehicle to do other things that bring you happiness, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of that obviously is family.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a badass car.
Yep. Can't discount that.
So, and that was sort of a goal that I had set before. So, I mean, if anything, that's how it's changed. But yeah.
So, and you just brought up goals. So speaking of goals, every year we kind of like set some goals and create them. Were there any goals that you hit or broke last year that just kind of blew your mind based on setting them in the beginning and then achieving them at the end?
I would say my sales volume. That,
Yeah.
I set that goal and I surpassed it. So
Yeah.
that was definitely, I guess, the biggest one for me.
Yeah. Any amazing goals for this year or crazy goals that sounded impossible when you set them?
Um, I think I created realistic goals, but
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I guess we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I definitely put some in there that are sort of borderline crazy, but realistic.
Sure. Where would your life be right now if you hadn't joined the team?
It's a good question. I probably would be doing the same thing, maybe at the same brokerage. Like I said, I was happy there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I don't see where I would have been crushing it
Mm-hmm.
like I have, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, sharing different experiences, like I said, that we have. And it also kind of motivated me to get my broker's license
Mm-hmm.
back in 2017. So
Yeah.
it literally was a goal.
Yeah.
And I said I may do something with it in the future, but
Yeah.
you're up for renewal anyway, so might as well go for it, right?
Yeah. So, what would you say to someone right now that's in the same shoes you were in, say, 5 years ago? Maybe they're an agent. Maybe they sell 3 houses a year, 6 houses a year, maybe even 12. Maybe they're brand new and don't know where to start. What would you do if you were a newer agent starting out right now?
If I were a new agent starting out right now, I would say to them, definitely consider joining a great team. There's some good teams out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're great.
Mm-hmm.
So I may have a little bias, but I've been part of it since the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
and I've seen it grow. And again, like I said, it's all about, we all share value and we all have experiences. And there are times that you're going to encounter something that one of the agents has encountered.
Yeah.
And you don't, and I've been from different offices before. And when you're not on a team, you don't get that same dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
if you will, with other agents.
Yeah.
So, I've encountered things that maybe someone from our team has encountered, and probably vice versa. And so then you have a solution for it, right? Because somebody's already dealt with it,
Yeah.
like that lot line issue.
Sure.
So
What's your vision for your future?
my vision, I guess, for my future would be just to keep crushing it, keep getting after it every day. Also keep balance. I do like to have balance, as you know, because my kids are still a bit younger, and so.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to sort of balance my family time with also my, work time. And that's sort of sometimes can be a struggle, because again, you're basically responsible to yourself.
Yeah.
But when you need motivation, obviously that's your motivation, right? So
Yeah. No, I've seen that. You're definitely one of the best at like making sure that you carve out the time for family and friends and what really fulfills you in life. So you should be proud of that. And yeah, occasionally it comes at a cost to business, but that's okay because business isn't life, right? Yeah. Dude, it's been so awesome, having this dialogue. If anyone wanted to get in touch with you and they've got any other questions, where can they reach you?
you can text me directly on my cell, 951-796-4211. Or you could email me, your951realtor@gmail.com.
Awesome, man. Thanks so much.
For sure.